The Gérard Bardavid, Friends for Buzz Television. You just said that you want to go forward. It seems that going forward for you includes going worldwide or world music, I should say. Everybody's making like fuzz about world music. Seems that like you've always been doing it and you're doing it more and more. So I want you to talk about it.
Well, you just did. Um, you're absolutely right. Yes. Uh, I think many years ago when we started writing even on Led Zeppelin 1, when Jimmy was playing Black Mountainside, the lean towards the Eastern scales, the Middle Eastern scales, and the effect of the music from the East, which had infiltrated the music of the Stones and the Beatles, also affected Led Zepp. And I suppose out of the members of Led Zepp, Jimmy and I were the most affected, and we travelled a lot. We went to India in about 1971 and recorded with an orchestra in Bombay. And there's a very, very good bootleg out of Japan of that recording, which is highly recommendable. If not, you can borrow mine. But always there's been this lean towards Morocco, and throughout my career since 1980, I've always been going to Morocco and being affected by the music there. And today, I was affected by Barbès, and there are people I know there who've got record stores and tape stores. I'm just a little bit Moroccan, I think. And it's the music is so hypnotic and so beautiful. And also, when you go, you find that the whole structure of music it's so fragmented. It's so beautiful because it comes from so many different people, so many different peoples, and the possibility of it being commercially successful is not the consideration for making music there most of the time. Most of the time, the music is under wedding, circumcision, marriage. The whole ball game is nothing to do with George Michael, and it doesn't matter whether Phil Collins is in love with somebody else. Ibrahim the Gnawa is happy, and it gives me a lot of power.
Hi, Robert and Jimmy. Thanks for the trip. I'm just coming down now. It was really brainstorming. I'm curious about the reaction of the people from Marrakesh. They seem to really enjoy you. What kind of vibes did you get for them? Did they see you like a local band, a rock band, or just a Moroccan band? There was times where the interaction between you and the people were really great. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I think they saw us with curiosity, really, to begin with, because we'd set up in the square in such a way with the PA, and they could see that something was going to be going on there, which was maybe on a little larger scale than their own sort of minstrels and things down there. And we started off by playing the loop that you hear there, and the guitar and that, and you could see that they were bemused by it. But it didn't take very long before they were actually joining in and clapping and singing along with Robert, and it was brilliant, really, because of course they didn't know who we were from anything, So that was a success in itself.
Yeah. I think music is celebration and not too much studying. And I think that's the great thing about it. It doesn't matter who's making the noise if it's infectious. It doesn't matter. And the whole thing about Dejma Elfne in Marrakesh or anywhere where there's a public gathering is that somebody will be making a noise. And there'll be well, it's a well-known place to go to hear noise. But it's fantastic, really, because now that the people who come in from the hills have rigged up their own microphone systems, probably as good as this, but they have it off their chest so they can play. And now the whole square, bit by bit, is getting more and more amplified. And the sounds are really unusual. And the great thing about all this is that it doesn't carry the seriousness that is transmitted by a lot of what you call world music phenomena that pass through Paris or London or America, where anybody who doesn't speak English or French is considered to be some aesthetic guru, and there's a special CD booklet talking about their grandfather coming from Timbuktu and all that crap. Basically, people actually just have a good time, and
They got great tea there.
yeah, I don't know about that. Is that some kind of coded thing that I should know about? Oh, good, yeah, okay. Ate.
Walter Gröbchen, Profil Magazine Austria. Your new record is marketed something like a revival or rebirth of Led Zeppelin. So two questions about this.
Is that just in Austria or everywhere?
I think everywhere. Two questions about this. First, do you like this label? And the second one, where have you left John Paul Jones?
He's parking the car. No, get real. We have no way can we escape that obvious, I mean, you're absolutely right. We can't do much about it, can we? Really, a record company will do what they do, but nevertheless, what we've got is it's just what it is, no matter what you call it. Where's Jonesy? They said he was staying with you.
The thing is, we started working on the loops of which you hear too, Yalla and a wonderful one. When we got together, we started working with different tape loops that Martin Massonnier had sent to Robert, and we had about 5 numbers in a couple of days, and then we started working with Charlie and Michael, the rhythm section, in rehearsal stages. And we had more and more numbers that we were writing, and the whole momentum of the thing started to take its own form. But we were just getting on so well that it was only at the latter point, when people like yourself ask about John Paul Jones.
I think if Mazzonier has been really, Martin Mazzonier unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but he sent his fridge. No, and if it wasn't for his loops, we wouldn't be in business, because we didn't want to be a band. We didn't want to put ourselves in a position to look into the eyes of a drummer and be looking for somebody who wasn't there. I think the sort of work that Martin does with Amina, and no matter what, he created some very evocative rhythms for us to work to, and that really got it started. And once we got started, we were a 2-piece. We were a guitarist and singer who've written loads of songs already. So we knew very quickly if we didn't like what we were doing, we could just leave it and say, well, this isn't going to work. But if you bring in a third imagination, then it can take longer to reach the same point, and it can be uncomfortable. And the last thing we want to do is have anything, anywhere in our space, that is uncomfortable.
Pardon, because I got some problem with my voice, with my English too. But I'm from Spain, from Madrid. I'm very proud of this record, No Quarter. I think, in fact, that it's a great combination. It's a great celebration, but with a big coincidence. I'm asking, do you think that this great combination of rhythm and blues, rock and roll, with North African rhythms, North African music, is just it could be done with Japanese music or Indian music, or I don't know, Brazilian music? I got my own answer. That's why I'm telling you that this is a big coincidence. But do you think it could be done with these other kind of rhythms, ethnic rhythms?
Well, it was done with Celtic roots as well, with the hurdy-gurdy, and we were using instruments such as banjo and mandolin, etc. Up to this point, because those were the 2 types of combinations that we used. That's where it's at this point. But I mean, there's many aspects of what we can do in the future.
I don't find the rhythms that you mentioned as seductive, and as they don't move me the same way that the bendia and the tabla move me. I have to be moved somewhere inside. And as much as I like samba,
Sorry, that's what I mean.
but I can't sing around samba the way I sing. I want to sing around something that is seductive, that is tempting me, that is taking me somewhere a little with a different color in it.
But what I mean is that in a couple of moments I couldn't help it. I couldn't help to shout ole.
Good.
That's the celebration.
Exactly. That's okay. Ole. Yo no soy marinero.
Well, my name is Bourrier. I'm from Brazil, Brazilian press, and I think you are going to Rio to launch this record. Is it true or not?
Where are we now?
And do you intend to make any show in Brazil?
Shall we?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Yeah.
Because people are waiting for you there.
I've just come back from there.
Oh yes, I know.
Okay.
So, but I mean, specifically this record. What are you doing in Brazil? Are you doing some shows or not?
Well,
That's my question.
we're waiting for our great guru, who also manages Judas Priest. Where is he, Bill? He's very quiet, you know. There he is.
So there
It's
is
very
no plan
hard
to go
to
there.
actually. Eh?
So there's no plan to go there.
There is a plan, yeah.
Yes.
We go on the 11th of November to the Club Photo in Sao Paulo.
Okay, but for shows or just for the
Hopefully
record?
for shows, yeah.
For shows. Okay.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Smug old bastard.
Miriam from Vienna. I want to know, are you personally also attracted by Eastern philosophies? If you are attracted by the music
Eastern writing, yeah.
and religions and no?
Eastern writings. Yeah.
Writings like what?
Well, Khalil Gibran, Omar Khayyam, the chap who did the Remington adverts, what's his name? Khayyam. Yes, over the years, many books and many writings. Yes. Religions, I'm not so sure yet. But I've been told I've got to swat up on one specific religion. Sorry, it's an in-joke. You know him?
I know him. Rick Sky from the Mirror in London.
Always been a friend of ours.
Yes, of course I have.
Aging crusties or whatever it is. Didn't you do the thing about my car? I'm still a wild boy because my car's covered in wolf heads. Remember that?
Brazil. I mean, are you going to do a tour? Is this the general plan?
Yeah, if we can keep going. We don't split up. No, not yet. No, we have a vague start date.
When is that? Is that in Brazil?
No, that's in February.
And where?
I think Cardiff University. That's where we came in. That's the Celtic side of it. Well, I think, if I may, when we opened this conversation, I said that we tried to put things together in the past without giving it very much thought and bow into, the usual corporate sort of, hey, lads, don't you think we ought to raise some money for whatever it is? And we never really did it very well, so I was pretty anti just that process. I think this one gives it a bit more, dignity. I think dignity. It's much more interesting, and we are expanding our previous work and writing a lot of new stuff. We've got a lot more songs written than is on this film, so it's we've got a good prospect. I don't know. I don't usually get asked. After about the first 5 years, it just got as far as Mr. Kirbishley, and then he deflected the request. But I mean, it's not that I didn't want to play with Jimmy, but I didn't want to. The idea of actually rolling out the barrel, with a different drummer in that form seemed to be obsolete as a way of doing it. Just didn't seem to have any purpose really, unless it was just to see whether we could do better than the Stones and that whole approach is pretty tired. I don't think it tempted. I don't know what temptation is. I think you do.
For Guitar and Clavier magazine, Jimmy, please, I would like to go back to the mid-60s, where you've recorded a lot of sessions with piano player Nicky Hopkins, who unfortunately happened to die recently. And with him, you've also recorded a soundtrack for a movie titled A Degree of a Murder with Brian Jones and Nicky Hopkins. So could you please tell a few words about him and your relationship with him?
Yeah, I remember Nicky in the days of the Marquee when he was playing with Cyril Davis, who actually really was he was an electric harmonica player. He'd worked with Alexis Corner, who was more into the country blues. And Cyril had wanted to expand things into electric harmonica and city blues, and really turned a lot of people on, like for instance the Stones and all the rest of it. In those days, and Nicky was in his band, and he was a very, very fine player, very fine indeed. And I only heard that news. I don't know when Nicky died, but I only heard it actually within the last week that he died. It's just bad news actually, because he's an incredible musician. The Brian Jones one is that was for a film, wasn't it? For the
A Degree of a Murder
with Anita Pallenberg. Yes, well, I was on those sessions, but apparently the tapes have disappeared. So I don't know if anyone in this room's ever heard them. I mean, I never have since doing those sessions. But he wrote the film music for it, that's for sure.
And what memory did you keep from this music?
Of Brian Jones.
About the music of the soundtrack.
Well, I just remember that he had a guitar that made all these sort of gunshot noises and weird sounds, and he was very forward-thinking in his musical approach. Anyway, as we all know.
Stefan Wolder, freelancer for different radio stations in Germany. I've got a question to the re-recordings of old Led Zeppelin material. This must have been a hard decision to choose out of more than a decade material. So after what kind of criterion did you choose the new material? Which song could make it and which not?
Well, I suppose if we were trying to develop, reinvent our musical personality and find out where we were comfortable physically and how we could project what we do, there were obviously songs that we didn't want to do and that we should avoid for the obvious reasons. And so the idea, as we've said, of leaning towards the sort of the use of musicians from another culture, and also the reflection of the Welsh, the Gaelic stuff, that the work with Sandy Denny seemed to be most appropriate, and lent themselves for being enlarged a bit, opening them up, expanding them, making them a bit more illuminating, and also taking the sort of intensity away from us two personally, bringing in other soloists and people who got a real major contribution to the songs, so that the songs they have a new life. Thank you. Anybody at the back have anything to say? I'm in a kip.
Norbert Ivanek, Rockin' Radio Austria. Just back to the reunion stuff. Is this a definite Led Zeppelin reunion or a Jimmy Page and Robert Plant project playing Zeppelin songs? That was the first question. And the second is...
No, let's do one at a time. No.
It's not a Zepp reunion.
Maybe we got the album cover wrong. Next question.
The second question is...
where'd you find him?
Don't you have the fear in the back in your mind that you could ruin a mythos like Deep Purple did?
What? Did what?
Do you have the fear in the back in your mind that you have ruined your mythos like Deep Purple did?
Did what like Deep Purple did? Is that whatever the answer is? No. Question, don't know. Yes, I don't know. I don't like Deep Purple. So whatever it is that happened to them, I hope it doesn't happen to us.
Hello. Is it
Hello.
working? Yeah. Hi. My name is Gitti Gül and I'm from Hamburg, working for Rolling Stone Germany, brand new.
Is that a free paper?
Yes, in Germany. No, not at all. Nevertheless, obviously there's a lot of power on stage. There's a lot of moving experience just seeing it on screen. Are you sometimes scared of what happened to you there? Because the power of music, when you both play together, is obviously happening very, very strongly.
What's there to be afraid of? I don't quite understand that.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Well, no, I don't understand why we should be afraid of whatever chemistry there is between the two of us. I mean, the great celebration of the whole thing is the fact that, working together after 14 years,
it's still
so productive. Yeah, productive and seductive. Yeah.
So it's more like a love affair.
I wouldn't say that. So it's more like music, actually.
Hi, yeah, Steve Sutherland, NME.
Hello, Steve.
Hiya. Where did MTV come into it? Because you talked a lot about experimenting with music and stuff, but this is a very public way to relaunch yourselves, if that's what you want to call it, to actually go on film and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the easiest way to do it too, and you're going to get the most exposure, which means that if it's going to work, it'll stick easier this way than piddling about doing something on Sanity Records. As much as I like the label.
So you
So MTV came along and asked if I'd like to do an unplugged me, and I couldn't have envisaged, as much as I like the idea of wallowing in my own glory, the idea of doing them songs globally without Jimmy. And it was around that time last November in Boston that we started talking about what we would do if we were to do an unplugged. And the first part of the assessment was that we couldn't entertain doing an unplugged because it was such a tired medium anyway. And I think, even Neil struggled with it. I mean, after a certain amount of time, it doesn't work acoustically unless you've had the nature and the kind of personality right the way through your career. It would be okay for Robin Williamson and Mike Herron to do it, but it wouldn't be for us. So we decided that if we could do something, use MTV and use a bit of grey matter and enjoy each other's company and write new songs first and foremost before we even agreed to try and do anything, then that should be the route that we should take. So in real terms, without the aesthetics and the romantic overview and all that sort of thing, obviously if we're going to play together, as Bill Kirby says, if I want to play and support Julian Cope, which was one of my plans, that I'd be taking my lighting rig around Europe in a wheelbarrow. And so this is the way to do it. It's either this or go home and give up and watch the Wolves. As it goes now, I can do both. 3 things.
I am.
Something coming back off the floor.
Yeah, on the subject of touring, you've turned down many tour offers before. What sort of scale tour are you looking at doing now, and will you be going with sponsorship behind you?
Why are you from?
Daily Star. We're not sponsoring you.
You're not going to?
No.
So it's either Sunday Sport or nothing.
We only do sports events.
I don't know. Don't know really. We're definitely going to it, but it will be what you saw on film just. So I don't know. We could. Let's see what comes along.
You must have had a lot of offers in, though, from fizzy drinks companies, etc.
Not yet. Do you know how the channels work? I mean, how far in advance do we get the offers, Bernard? Where's the offers? Okay.
Yeah. Adam Sweeting from The Guardian.
Where?
Here.
Hiya.
How are you?
I haven't seen you since you were drunk in Barcelona.
I'd like. So you ordering all that tapas and brandy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Why did you put out the remastered original Zeppelin albums again recently, and aren't you expecting the fans to buy the same material rather often?
That's a very good question. I'm going to hand that over to Jim. Because he produced the remasters. And I'm riddling.
If it goes back to the 4 CD set, it was basically the fact that after a lot of attention to detail in the past with the Zeppelin stuff, which was at the time basically manufactured for vinyl, when the CD medium came along, they just took any tapes that they had on their shelves and stuck them out, and the sound quality just wasn't good enough. So as a measure to be able to, get the sound sounding right, the idea of putting a 4 CD set out and putting them in different types of, running orders, same picture, different frame, whatever have you, seemed to be, a good start to get the whole thing being heard properly, because you couldn't hear really a lot of the things that were going on, and the way they'd manufactured them for CD, which is a much far more critical medium.
I think, Adam, nobody asks this question to John Lee Hooker, who seems to manage to get Crawling King Snake out about once every 12 months. But I must say that what we tried to do here is to take opportunities that weren't there in the first place, because we couldn't think them up when we wrote Friends. Although the Friends from Zep 3 we thought was the best that we could do at the time. So to expand now, because we want to work, because we want a career, because we want to go out and play, and we want to take this, we want to take Hussam Ramsey and the guys, and we want to play like this, with imagination, the amount of limited imagination that we've had, and the input from the Egyptians and from Nigel Eaton and Najma and Paul Thompson and everybody that you saw there. It's almost like a totally different book altogether now that's here to be reviewed, if you like. Well, it is for me, because I much prefer being in the middle of that than churning it out as a 4-piece or listening to it in its original form. This is much more exciting for me. And that's very self-indulgent, but it also works really good.
I just seen that the original fans had obviously bought the original albums as soon as they were on CD, and they've now been invited to purchase them in several.
Well, I'll take your point. When that happened, this was the furthest thing from either of our imaginations. So I don't know how spontaneous you can be in this game and be promoted by a major corporation, but I think that this condition has only really been actually been in operation for about the last 4 or 5 months. Because after talking about it last year, getting it together, working in the pub in Fulham, Dedar, we've got something now that we never even dreamt of, in a very short time ago. I'm really glad we've got it.
Wim Swinnen, Panorama Magazine, Belgium. Back in '77, you were considered by the punk movement as boring old farts. Today, you're kind of the godfathers of grunge. So I suppose you like grunge much better than punk?
I think grunge likes punk much better than grunge. It's all very tired, isn't it, really? I mean, what would we do without you guys hanging badges on everybody? We're far too old to be blamed for anything now.
Okay, what do you think of the new movement of the grunge movement?
It's not new. The most recent Soundgarden record is a very well-crafted, manicured selection of songs, which bears no relation to Mother Love Bone or Black Flag or Rape Man or any other sort of what was once considered to be the new music of America. Mm-hmm. No matter what, it's certainly much more interesting than what's on offer from a lot of other countries around the world. Although it's going the way of all flesh. Sting was a punk, wasn't he?
I don't know. I don't think so. But are you honored to be an influence on so many bands today?
I don't know whether it sticks. I don't know. I suppose so, yeah. I think I feel good about it at this moment.
Right. Okay. Thank you.